Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura, and today I'm joined by quite a few guys, man. We got Cristian Putelias in the house. What's up, man?
What's Gucci? What's Gucci? How's it going, everybody?
We got Manny Olivares in here as well. What's up, Manny?
Hey, how's everyone doing this afternoon?
As good as we can do, man. And then last but not least, we got Joey Chavala in the house as well, man. How you doing, Joey?
Oh, I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Hey, not too bad, man. Hey, so, we tend to record once a week. We've had it's been an interesting week, man. So far, a Wednesday night here. We wanted to start, by remembering Maggie a little bit. So, Maggie was obviously somebody that we met about a year ago. She's had been a local producer and reporter for Fox, and a year, and we had her a couple of weeks ago in here in the podcast, man. And funny enough, Monday, Joey, you were like, man, who do we have a guest? Should we bring Glenn? Should we bring Maggie? And obviously, this is kind of like this news that we ended up hearing, which, like anything, kind of tore us apart a little bit, especially on the group chat. I think just kind of being able to talk about it and just processing kind of what happened, the shock that just kind of came out of nowhere. But I think everybody's still a little bit grieving and mourning for sure. And it's crazy because, again, we didn't know her as much as we would have liked to know her. And but it was more than enough, right? I think she did a really good job, and just kind of, especially us that got to see her in person, the way that she treated us, treated anybody, man. Like she wasn't gonna treat anybody differently. She was always happy, go lucky, and most of all, it was fun. The way that how much she loved the sport that we ourselves love, right? And the best part about Maggie for me was the fact that she was in it to win it. She was working hard, covering the team in her own time, apart from working in the mornings. And so getting to know her was amazing. She'll definitely be missed for sure. But sadly, the coverage that she was providing, I mean, people were just getting to know her barely. And so obviously we won't see how good she was gonna be in the Copa America and the World Cup and all the events coming into Houston. So as soccer fans, that hurts us. But one thing that Maggie was she wasn't gonna go and talk tactics with Joey. She wasn't gonna break down the game. She just had the point of view of being a fan and loving the sport in a really genuine and happy-go-lucky way. And it made us laugh, it made us giggle, and to an extent, man, it just made you think of how just life was fun with her, being a part of what we did. And we had the joke, and we told her that when we had her in the show a couple weeks ago, was, man, sometimes it was just us and Maggie, right? Press conferences, it was just us and Maggie. We would go to events, it was just us and Maggie, and that was kind of the running joke. So it just made sense that we got to know her a little better, especially towards the end of last year and obviously this year. So of course we're definitely hurt. For us, for me and Chris, we got to go to the game yesterday, sit down at the stadium, and I was telling Chris, it was crazy because since we heard the news, I was just like in shock. I was just not really talking to anybody, kind of just soaking everything in. And I really didn't want to go to the game, knowing that it was at 9:30 p.m. when the schedule came out. But the closer we got to it, I was like, yeah, I'll be there. But as soon as the news happened, it was like, no, I have to be there. And I think there's quite a few guys that from Apollo that were there, and other members of the media, they kind of saw it the same way. Like we have to be there because Maggie would have been there. Like it didn't matter if she had to get up at 3:30 in the morning. She was going to be there. And so now I think it's just seeing it and seeing how life is precious and how short it is, and the way that she lived her life to the fullest, and just being, laughing, kind. It was just who she was, and I think we all kind of have to learn a little bit from it. And if you didn't get to know her, like we were barely get to know her, we all kind of missed out for sure if we weren't there for a long number of years, getting to know Maggie. But yeah, man, it was therapeutic as well going to the stadium. Like I told Chris, it's like, we see, for us that follow the sport and love the sport, the Dynamo, going to the stadium, it's it's our hobby, it's our safe place. And to an extent, it felt really kind of like a dark place at the time yesterday that we were going to go there, and seeing everybody that was seeing the media booth, and obviously all the Houston Dynamo folks, just not being themselves, because it was a hard day. And but yesterday, just being able to be around them and just kind of chatting about same thing that we're gonna do here, to an extent, just stories, of Maggie bringing either laughs or stories that we remember from her, man. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we're gonna always try to remember Maggie as much as we can, and really everything that we're gonna do from now on, especially here at Vice City Soccer, it be for Maggie. So for us to continue to the legacy that she was doing, because it was, she had a big part of like bringing like the World Cup to Houston, right? She was behind all that stuff. She was obviously a part of the World Cup parties for the women's World Cup as well for the men's World Cup. So it's just crazy. And I think the best part, and before I, open it up to you guys to kind of share maybe a story or something that you'll remember from Maggie, was the fact that, uh, obviously she mentioned how she had played the sport growing up, but again, she wasn't a pro at breaking it down. But she wasn't prideful enough to not give soccer a try, and I think that's like the best part about her, that she was able to be like, you know what, I really don't know the sport, and I'm gonna do my best to cover it and give it the spotlight that it really deserves in Houston. Just because, again, that's what she was. She was gonna do that. So, you know, Manny, I know you probably knew her a little bit more or longer than we did, man. So feel free to just share anything about Maggie, something that you remember. Again, this is a time of celebration. We're gonna be there, and definitely still in the grieving process, but we have to really let people know that we loved Maggie, hanging out with her, and we were definitely gonna miss her, man.
Yeah, it's I think it just takes me back a bit because I think when I first started to know her or see her, I think it was just during, I think when it was almost the Women's World Cup. I think her name started to flow out, Maggie, Maggie. I was like, oh, who is this Maggie chick? I was like, I think that was like my first impression. I was like, well, Maggie, she's from Fox. I was like, I have no clue who's this, who this girl is. But I think once you see her or once you get to know her, she was like, a person that, even though she has a very extrovert personality, she sometimes could be laughing. You can hear her across the hallway. But I think what makes her set apart is that she really is personal to you. She really cares, and that's what I like about her coverage. I think it's hard for us. I think sometimes we see athletes, we see players, we see coaches as professionals, but she sees them as human beings. And most of the time, it was just conversations, like, how do you feel? How do you think? It's and having a conversation, and sometimes that brings them down to as a human aspect to like, hey, the coach, the players, they're just like me. They're going through it. They want to win. They have the same feeling I do, and that's something that was different from her. And it's just having seen her, and it's something we can't explain. But I think my favorite memory is like, I think what conversation I have with her, she's like, I think she knew soccer was good, but I think when she got into the Dash and later to the Dynamo, she was like, there's no local coverage here. She was like, there's so much untapped potential not just in the sport, but just in the fan base here that can grow here. And all she wanted to do was to take that and share it to everyone else. Anyone who can see it, anyone to see that, like, hey, this is something that is reachable for everyone, and that's a sport that everyone can follow through. And even though she doesn't know all the facts like Joey, she's not a Joey Stats that's going to do rule by rule, you know. And I was laughing one time because I thought one time she tweeted something. I was like, I don't think that's correct. And I was like, because blah, this. And she's like, I don't know. I'm just gonna put it out there and just like and see like who sees it, and it's like, and I'll learn. And that's something about her, you know. She's like, she wants to put it out, like mistake or not, because she wanted this to grow. And that's something like I really care about her, and see that, you know, that's gonna be a void that's we'll have to fill, but no one's gonna replace Maggie how she did Houston coverage.
Yeah, man, you're absolutely right. And yeah, I mean, her questions were just about life. A lot of it would cut people off guard. She would ask, like in a press conference, "Hey, what was your favorite restaurant?" Or, you know, she was about life. She was about just being trying to get to know people for sure, and just always making you feel like you were the most important person in the room. And you're right, dude. She was definitely not afraid to make mistakes. Again, she didn't know the game. She was willing to learn and soak in the information. And Joey, I mean, you know, she reached out to you a couple times to try to see if if you had the right answer for her. Because again, she was always trying to learn, man.
Yeah, she would ask me questions constantly. You know, she wanted to learn the game on a deeper level than she knew, because most of her knowledge, she loves the community aspect of the sport, which is very different from me, because I don't care about the community aspect of the sport. I never have. I've always been what happens on the field is what's important to me. So we had completely different perspectives of what we loved about soccer. So it was always a really interesting conversation with her. And I always try to help her out with the understanding things like the offside rule. She didn't understand that for a while. We had a whole DM about that, and then she calls it offsides, and Dustin would get upset.
Yeah, man. And like I said, we were obviously, like anything, man. Everybody that was around there was planning to spend more time with her, and we were hoping to have her here once a month at least in the podcast, and doing that, because even if she didn't know the sport, she was gonna entertain the shit out of you, man. She was just that, she was just this high energy, or a high ball of energy that she was just around, man. But Chris, man, we got to see her on Saturday. One of the last times that we got to see her. But man, anything that you remember about Maggie other than those bright gold pants she was wearing, man? Championship ready, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the opposite, of Joey, right? He's more of what happens in the field. I'm more of what happens all around the field too, which is completely fine, right? Everybody can kind of see the sport differently, and I see soccer when I see soccer, and I grew up with it, and the way that I see it, it kind of like it takes me back. I've been thinking about this like all weekend. Like when I think of soccer, it takes me back to like family. It takes me back to like my friends, childhood, just experiences that I've lived through soccer, right? Like the sport itself as a sport, it's cool, and we can go and dive into statistics and do everything that we want to do with the sport when it comes to like numbers and how you play it and everything like that. But to me, like soccer just means like family, friends, good times, de-stressor. I would look forward to like going and go play soccer, because I knew that I would go play and kicking the shit out of somebody as a defender. It was like the greatest joy ever, and you can take all your worries away in that, right? And because of that, I think, and I didn't know Maggie, right? Like I think all of you guys probably had more conversations with her. The only conversation or the only interaction that I had with her was hi and bye at the press box and the podcast that we did all together. And that was my extent of that. And even like that, she would still come up to me and give me a hug and, say hi and just like act like we were friends, like forever friends. And what kind of sticks out to me from her in the like, the way that I see the sport, and it's like anybody that loves soccer the way that I do, or the way that she did, it's like, you're my friend now, because like soccer is like having another child for me, and it's like, oh, you love my child, then I love you, because you love my child in a way. And when you think about, you obviously the person of who she was, it's probably the most important thing, right? And I don't want to take anything away from who she was as a person, because I mean, her persona itself, like her person, I mean, we saw the tribute that Fox 26 did, like literally people crying on TV because she was a bright, shining star everywhere that she went. And as a person, I wish I would have met her, like, personally, to kind of enjoy that. But what I got to enjoy from her is the like not selfish part of, I'm going to report soccer because nobody else is doing it, and we need to get this out there. This sport is so magical, so loving. Like she was talking about, going to all the World Cup, viewing parties, and everything that she saw, and like the community that it was bringing. And I think she wasn't even reaching the floor level of her, connecting with the soccer community in Houston. She was at the, in the cusp of like just opening the door to whatever it is that, we may know, playing locally in Sunday leagues, or, me, I don't know, doing my little podcast and like talking to different people. Like there was so much more that she was going to find, and she was going to like explode and just put out there with her platform. And it wasn't because she was doing it to like glorify herself, but she, like, it was, unselfish. Like it was just, I don't know, like, and it's wild to me, because a lot of people do these things, and they do it for like, gain of themselves. Is like, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. Like, I even do that. Sometimes I'm like, I want to do this because, I want fame or whatever. Not fame, but you know what I mean? Like I want to be recognized or whatever. Yeah. Or it feels good when people recognize you. But she wasn't like that. No. She was like in the background,
Yeah.
and she was working towards it. I don't know.
No. I think that's perfectly said, man, because I think a lot of it, and put it in perspective, sometimes we get so in our heads that we're like competing against everybody, right? And we see it as like, well, we want to be the better outlet, or we want to be this, and that's not exactly what Maggie was doing. She just like loved it. She loved
the sport for what it was.
Soccer. Exactly,
which is insane because a lot of people don't, and she didn't even know the sport. And like, how are you gonna love something that you don't even know how it's played? You know what I mean? But she loved everything around it. She loved the community. She loved the people. She loved the passion. How passionate the people were. Like, I don't know. It's wild. I think as a community, as a soccer community, like that's where it hurts the most for me, because she was like our only outlet. Our only big outlet to the TV world or whatever. Like that's what we wanted. That's what we've been wanting as a community. Like when we started this, it's like we want people to, like we just had a conversation with Mente Futbolera and with Mizraim, and he was like, what does that Dynamo have to do to reach out to people to get the stands filled up? And she was doing that. You know what I mean? Like she was doing the work for the Dynamo. She was doing the work for the Dash. She was going into the community, trying to bring people in. And she was that, you know what I mean? Like she was the answer to so many problems. And when it comes to like loving the sport and having the community get to know the Dynamo and the Dash, and it just fucking sucks, man. Like I don't know.
Yeah, for sure, man. Manny, anything else you want to add? Or Joey, anything else?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
No, I think everything was said. I think it's just who she was and how she was every day, just with us and fans. Every time you see her or talk to her, it is 100% her, no matter what you saw. And I think later we'll talk about, but I think it affected, the whole dimension.
For sure, man.
The Dynamo, the Dash, the community, like just the organization as a whole. Twitter's from Asher, Twitter, the whole even interview with Clark, it was just it's been, that she did something bigger than
And
what she done. You know.
and a lot of the crazy thing is just showing up, right? And I think that was like again the big deal for most of us to show up yesterday because Maggie would have been there. So we were doing it for Maggie. It's always gonna be for Maggie. Everything we do here at Bayou City Soccer, that's what it's gonna be for. And it sucks because as quickly as something like that, her light fading, you always see it as like life goes on, and you see it, right? Because people, there's still games, there's still reporting, there's still things that had to be done, and it was so much in our head that it was just difficult to even like produce content or think about anything else other than that. So, and we're here, crying and like grieving, and we barely knew her. So it's like at the same time, like how she barely knew soccer, like we barely knew her too. So it's just incredible, man. The type of person that she was, guys. But yeah, I mean, we would definitely never gonna forget her for sure. But we gotta do what we gotta do, and we gotta keep doing it for Maggie. What's up, Maggie?
Hey, man. Hey, so Rudy, are you gonna wear the pink pants now for Maggie now?
I gotta get that. Man, one thing is she dressed good, man, and I told no matter how much of what is it? There's a saying, like if you look like a pile of crap, no matter how much you put on it, that's me. So that no matter how much I try, I'm never gonna look as good as and sharp as she did, man. I don't know. She always looked fly and work hard, man. So that's again, she's definitely gonna be missed for sure, man. So we gotta again, her memory is for us to work even harder than she did, right? I know that somebody, I don't want to mention names, for the Dynamo said, I don't even know when she slept because she just has so much energy. When we're talking to them on Wednesday, and it was like, yeah, we don't know. That's what it was like. The game's at 9:30. It's a big game. You knew she was gonna be there and go to work at 3 a.m. Like, there's no way, So it's just fantastic. The type of person she was, and well, she's never gonna be forgotten. At least not by us. I think by me, I can say that she definitely touched my life in that aspect. Just seeing the way she grind for sure. But guys, at the end of the day, we're here to continue her legacy and cover the teams in our city that we love, like as much as she did with Houston, with the Dynamo, the Dash, and of course Dynamo 2. So let's get to it, man. But Christian, just tell the people how they can connect with us, man.
Yeah, she wasn't even from Houston, by the way. But whatever, we'll let it be. Yeah, so you can always find us at Bayou City Soccer. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, go hit us up over there. BayouCitySoccer.net is the actual website. Go check it out. You can find, merch. You can see all the articles. You can see Joey's stats, ratings. He probably gave a bunch of ones to a couple of guys. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's been
better.
Fun, man.
Do better.
Do better.
But
there's a lot of content. I mean, hey, Shevchenko had a quick turnaround. He went from a 1. And then he scored a goal. I want to see. I'll be honest, I still haven't read it yet, but I want to see what Joey said on that one. But I'm sure, hopefully it was high. Hopefully it was high.
Joey was.
But yeah, go check that out. BayouCitySoccer.net, guys. Don't forget Rudy Segura 3, Chris Portalias, Joey Chavela 10, Manuela 4, Rodrigo and the baby, and Dustin at Bayou City Soccer. Go check it out. Yeah, good. Let's continue. Let's move on.
Yeah, man.
Ugly Guppy. Go check out Ugly Guppy for all your printing needs.
Yeah, for sure. Manny finally got to represent his new polo, so he got to do that. But let's talk a little bit about the Houston Dynamo, guys. That's what's been on popping. Literally, obviously, they're the only pro team for Houston to get some games currently. They had a big one on Saturday that we haven't really talked about, which was, of course, a home opener. Yeah, Shevchenko, Rushan. Funny enough, when me and at the game, the announcer was calling it how do you call it, Christian?
Shevchenko.
With the Shevchenko,
the proper way to say it.
The proper way to say it, man. But yeah, the home opener, you had Sporting Kansas City, Bissett. They scored first, and not much long after. What's up, Manny?
You mean Brad Smith goes first?
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Brad Smith calls first, gets called into offside. But you know what? I never went back and looked, but I'm assuming it was clear and
It was
obvious, right?
pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coco was a few yards offside.
Yeah, being on the angle that we are from the media booth, that was the opposite side of the field. Then I never could get my iPad to work to watch the game, and yeah, I couldn't see that play live. But of course, they score. Then really, I don't know. Lackadaisical defending by Reigns, and I think Sviatchenko was the other guy involved in that. And then obviously Tommy ends up taking a long distance shot that just something that Steve Clark really can't see goes in. Then we get Gabe Segal, with whether he is Ted's nephew or not. We don't know yet. We need to ask that question. Again, Maggie probably would ask that question, to be honest. But he scores right away within like 2 minutes of coming into the game. Ends up finding the equalizer for the game to end 1-1. Joey, we'll start with you, man. Well, what did you think about this game? Did you like what you saw?
It was pretty ugly. But I mean, it's kind of what we expected against Kansas City. It's always a scruffy game against them to open a season, to coming off short rest. It was probably always going to be a low-scoring, ugly game. So I'm not surprised with the outcome. I'm more disappointed with the way they conceded, because I think that might have been one of the worst goals that they've conceded since Ben Olsen's taken over as head coach of this team. That was just soft, lazy, bad, basic defending. I mean, you just let a guy walk into the box with the ball and take a easy shot. No one closes him down. No one. Reigns sort of follows him, sort of, maybe. That was just really poor. And then offensively, I mean, few chances. Wasn't great offense. Wasn't terrible offense either. But the goal they did score. Beautiful, beautiful pass from Coco. Nice cross from Aliou, who's looking really good out wide. Second assist in a row. And Segal with a pretty easy finish with his head.
Yeah, I thought it was
not that easy.
No, yeah, a little bit
of a weird angle.
Hey, people were already saying that he was the Brian Ching. I'm telling you, man. But no, you talk about that, Chris, and it's one of those that last year we got so used to seeing so many tiki taka like pretty goals, but
yeah,
like Joey said, that one honestly, like the way from the Coco accuracy on the pass, and then Aliou just first touch header towards the middle of the box, and Segal putting it in, man, that was a beautiful goal altogether, Chris.
Yeah, no, yeah, 1,000%. I mean, beautiful play. The movement is also great. Like by Segal, when I don't know if you guys looked at it again, but literally when Coco looks up and he sees Aliou and he decides to kind of make that ball go to the other side of the field, Segal literally already reads that and he starts running to the second post. So it's a good vision. It's a good thing to be that young, 22, as a striker. Coming, he didn't come off the bench, did he? Yeah, he did actually. Yeah, he did.
2 minutes in.
He came off. He came off the bench, and already making those runs that are going to put you in a good spot. And I had props to him. That's what you want, a hungry goal scorer that's going to be at the right place at the right time, making correct runs, and just kind of going towards the ball and looking for it, and also not being scared to put your head in there. When the angle was kind of closing down on you, we were talking about it with Dusting. It was kind of difficult. The ball, the way it was bouncing, he had to keep it down enough to kind of go down and not go over the bar, but then high enough for the goalkeeper not to be able to, grab it and, get a hand on it. So, and the angle, when you look at the pictures that I think Billy took in that game, I don't know if it's Billy or Aldo, shout out to both of them. There's a great picture that we have that you see kind of like the distance between the hand and the post, and it is pretty small. And he was able to get it, perfectly in there. So shout out to Segal, and yeah, whenever we get to the next game, I also have good stuff to say about him then.
Yeah, something that I just thought, being that I mentioned Rushan's name a few times. I've never really had met Rushan, and then eventually I kind of put it together, but I think I never told him this. But Rushan, thank you so much for the one day that I took all my family to the supporter section, and you gave my little girl some little fox little bandana thing or little, and I forgot. I kept telling Chris, I'm like, there's this guy and he looks familiar. Now I know it was you, man. Thank you so much for that. And
Yeah, I'll add to that. Rujan is a great guy. He's given
Yeah.
me stuff before, and amazing dude.
yeah, thanks for that, Arusha. My kid loved them, and actually, and I thought of that because of the picture that I posted. So if you're watching us on YouTube or Twitter, the little girl has like the little band or what a headband. I keep saying bandana, but headband with the little fox ears, and my daughter loved that stuff. I need to take her sometime soon so she can wear them before she outgrows them. But Manny, you know, Chris was talking a little bit about Gabe, or Gabe Siegel, dude. To me, he's copy and paste of Corey Baird, man. I just kind of see the same guy. He kind of moves the same way to an extent, and I don't know, man. But what are your thoughts on the game itself against Sporting Kansas City, bro?
I mean, someone has to replace Corey Berry. You know, I think if you were looking at like, I think when we first signed him, you're like, who is he? Why him? And I think in that game, you're like, okay, now I know why. You know, he acts like Corey Berry. He does the runs. He does. You know, he's a machine. The only thing difference is that he's younger than Corey Berry, so he doesn't have the experience or even find the position, you know, as he would. But you know, that's something you can mold into him. I think for the first game of Sporting Kansas City, I think I was taking in mostly was just the crowd. It was a good. I think the crowd was lively in the stadium. I think everyone was kind of pumped. I think even more after seeing the first game. I think everyone was like, okay. I think after the first leg of St. Louis, I think they wanted a result, you know, in this game. And I feel like the crowd was more into it, a little more. And I think from the stands, it felt like it was pretty much even, pretty rough game. I believe, you know, the Dynamo could have done a little bit more on their finishing and their chances. I think they wasted a lot sometimes of the ball, not getting the box as early enough in the game. But I feel, you know, a draw is better than losing points on your first game, and just get back on the horse. And you know, as we saw this past game, they did that. But I think just this game, you know, get 1 point and move on.
Yeah, I think especially after all the injuries that you're being dealt, all the main pieces out. Obviously, we had Escobar out as well, and he finally came back. But I think you want to get all 3 points at home. You want to get them, especially on the home opener. But Sporting Kansas City, it's a good team. You know, they've coached well. They kind of regain. I thought they were gonna fire Burmese like in the middle of last season, and obviously look at what they did. They went and knocked out St. Louis City, which kind of brings us to that, man. Obviously, St. Louis City was the game in the Champions Cup, as we call it now, and the game ends with a 1-0 win for the Dynamo, moving them on into the next round against Columbus Crew. Shevchenko scores. Joy, what is your thoughts on this game, and enjoying it or not?
Again, it was ugly and scrappy again. But that, I mean, when you're missing Herrera, you're missing Escobar, you're missing some key guys. It's just what we're gonna have to do to get results, and it works. I mean, this defensively was very solid. I thought the whole back line played very well defensively. Steres was the real standout for me. I thought that might have been his best game in a Dynamo shirt for me. He was unplayable, and then caps it off with an assist as well. I mean, Artur and Gregus in the middle, what a partnership that could be. Unfortunately, Gregus is on the older side, so I mean, you probably won't see him starting every game.
Giuseppe says, ugly and scrappy sounds like a Dynamo way, man. I mean, sometimes that's what you have to do, right?
Back to the 1-0 wins. It's our staple.
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding.
Greg is, I mean, it was back 2019, I think, was the first year he came to Minnesota. Oh, I was screaming for the Dynamo to sign this guy. I was so impressed with him his first 2 years in Minnesota. He was incredible. I'm so glad we finally have him on the team. He's just so calm under pressure. He moves the ball great. Passing range is brilliant. He doesn't get caught out. You know, he works his ass off defensively. He's just Just a really nice player. I wish he could play 90 minutes every week, but that's probably not going to happen. But it seems like the depth right now. I mean, we kind of questioned the depth coming into the year, but I feel like some of the depth pieces are having me a little more excited than some of the starters, even. So
yeah, the only scary part is whenever you see the bench and there's a lot of like the young guys, like
Children.
college kids. Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially against Sporting Kansas City, you didn't have like Escobar on the bench or Bassi on the bench, like you on the bench, like you did against St. Louis. So whenever seeing that in the St. Louis game, you're like, I told Chris that I'm like, I kind of feel good about this game in the sense of there is some subs that you can do, right? Because obviously in the Kansas City, he only did 2 subs. I can't even remember how many he did on this game, and I was there. And
I think he did all 5.
He did 5?
Yeah,
okay.
he did all 5.
So it was one of those that you don't move it, right? Don't move it too much because you look at the bench, you're like, oh, you're pretty handicapped to an extent.
I want to give a big shout out to Tate Schmidt here coming off the bench because he came off for Dorsey with 10 minutes or so to go. Comes in at right back, I thought it was funny because I have the whole back line. He was the only left-footed guy, and they stick him at right back.
Yeah.
and what a 10, 15 minutes he had. If Dorsey has to miss on Saturday or going forward, if Tate could play like that, we're not even going to miss Dorsey. Dorsey's not been that special so far to start this year. So big shout out to Tate, who I thought started the year embarrassingly badly against St. Louis in the first leg, and then plays good against Kansas City, plays even better this game. So yeah, shout out to him.
And since you're in the shout out realm, Dago mentions put Kovalchik to start over Barcy more often. What do you think, Chris? Where have you liked?
I thought you were gonna ask Joey.
No.
I think that's a Joey question.
I think why not start both? Well, we don't have a Sebas and Leo's got to play striker. Why not have both? Put a Kovalchik out wide.
You could. You probably could.
They can interchange.
The funny thing about Sebastian that I was mentioning, and I think I've said it on our group chat. If he was only 2 inches taller, man, he'll reach every ball. Like half of the time, it's like he's in full stretch and he can't get to it, and it's just like, dang, come on, man. You got this. But I love him, man. I think he's gonna be one of the revelations this year. I've said it from last year. He has the skill, the technical ability with the ball. He's flashy compared to Bassi. I think Bassi tends to play more safe in the attack, and Kovalchik likes to take some risk, and I'm okay with that, especially if you're taking them on the final third of the field. I'm okay with that. Now, don't do that on our side of the field, Mikael. But what are you thinking, Manny? What do you like about just the Dynamo in general against St. Louis, man?
I think the performance overall was better, but I think that during the game that was struggling me the most is that the Dynamo again couldn't finish their chances, especially this game. This game in general, it was in the group chat. I was like, oh my god, like just pass the ball or just shoot. It was like just all those moments. It's like you're literally either 1-1 with a goalkeeper or you had a bad touch that you could have done it better. But other than that, it was mostly San Luis gave Houston the ball, let Dynamo play their game, and they had the first half it was like 80% possession of the ball. But the problem is they couldn't finish it. It could have been much more comfortable instead of a 1-0 win. But 1-0 win was all the result we needed to go through. But I think the team makeup, we need something to. I love Brad Smith. Something.
You're freezing over, bud.
To change.
Wow. But no, yeah, he's gone. No, he's there. He's there.
No, I said he's done. He's done.
Oh, he's done. Yeah, no, I think the takeaways is something that, like Joey, you mentioned. Obviously, Greg was getting the start, played well enough. I know Ben had mentioned at one point, he's like, please stop comparing him to Hector Herrera. He's not Hector Herrera. Like, we just want him. And I asked him yesterday, like, hey, you mentioned that, John is not an Hector, but were you pleased with his starting? He's like, I like the fact that we were able to give him minutes, get him the ability to get that start. And he did well. He did a good job. And he definitely looked more comfortable. And him and Arthur look like they're kind of finally clicking. And obviously, whoever else is in the midfield. My one observation, though, from the game, and Chris and I discussed it when we were there, is, and this is when we get Joey involved with the tactics, right? But at times we saw Coco way out wide, and he would kind of block off Dorsey, especially in the first half. They were just way too close to each other at times, and they basically weren't creating any room for each other in the attack, and they struggled in the first half. And obviously Coco ends up coming out early in the second half too. But it was just kind of interesting, that dynamic. I don't know if you saw the same thing, Joey, or not. Or
I think what they were trying to do was create like a 2v1 against their left back, because their left back they had was a guy. I don't remember the guy's name. I'm figuring it out. Watts. He's a younger guy who hasn't played a ton of minutes at this level. So I think that's what they were maybe looking to do. Spread the field out a little more, create some more pockets of space for Gregus and Kovalchik to operate in. It didn't really work so well. I thought the one time it really did work is when Coco got the ball out wide and held it up a little bit and did that fancy little backheel pass to Dorsey. That was the time it really, really worked, because you saw the space that created. He pulled the left back all the way up the field to press up on Coco and just created that gigantic room for Dorsey to run into and play that ball to Siegel that he should have squared off to Kovalchik or put in the back of the net. But that was a good example of that working. For the most part, it really didn't. I think Coco does play better when he tucks in more and gives Dorsey that room to overlap. But I think it was an interesting decision from Ben and the boys, and it didn't really work out. They made the adjustment, and it worked.
Yeah, for sure. And like anything, we're going to finish talking about at least this game. It's just Steve Clark, man, is a freaking beast. I mean, the dude just shift after shift, he does some incredible saves. He's not scared to put his body in the line when there's a one-on-one in front of goal. And he did that yesterday to keep the team. And I've been saying that I think if it wasn't for how good Hector Herrera was last year, and even Steve with his 13 plus clean sheets, I mean, he does what is needed. And I think sometimes people forget about that. But it's good to even hear the crowd just scream out Steve after he does a big save. So give him a little bit of love for that as well, man. But I mean, I enjoyed just seeing some of the fans out there. Obviously we saw Boniek out there. The Boniek twins were playing FIFA. I told some dude if they want that I had next, and they just kind of ignore me. I'm like, bro, come on.
They're like, sir, you're too old, sir. It's for kids.
There's an age limit to this. You're what's it called? You're past your prime, sir. But no, I think I guess to finish off though, Joey or Manny, whoever wants to talk about Ben, man, just the way that he approaches this game in particular, obviously having some of the pieces back.
I think for me, I think he handled the team well. He gave the people the needed rest, and especially you could tell in the subs as well. This is putting Escobar back and Bossy back. They haven't been involved with the team because Bossy with green cards issue and Escobar on the injury. And
do we think that he was really injured?
Yeah, he was in Miami, wasn't he?
He was rehabbing in Miami.
Yeah.
Per sources. No, I'm kidding. No way.
I thought he was traveling with Messi.
No, it was birthday party. Remember, it was his birthday.
It was Antonella's birthday party, wasn't it?
The Disney Princess party. Got it.
But I think having a good balance of that and making sure who's resting and shifting and relying, for instance, even Barlow. He hasn't been in the first two games, and he's smacking in this game. and he did a pretty good, solid job, you know. And so I think Ben is.
Oof. Whoa, dude! That slide tackle he did, just I didn't even know he was that fast. The way that he recovered on that play, Joey.
Mhm.
Who was the striker? Was it
Adeniran, is that how you
It
pronounce
was
his name?
yeah. Yes.
We're talking about Barlow.
Yeah, remember the play
yeah,
that he
Adeniran. That's his name. Samuel Adeniran. He's been
So
hot lately.
no, I was gonna say after this, I'm gonna work on the press conferences from yesterday, and
Yeah.
Barlow actually talks about that. They asked him, how did you see that play or whatever, and he was like, "Well, it was my fault, so I kind of have to chase it down and get it back." But
Yeah,
at least he's not afraid to
Bro.
admit that he made a mistake and
Yeah.
get back there. Get your ass back there and get that ball back because that could have been bad.
That was incredible. Yeah, that was such a great play. I was amazed more than a goal or a goalkeeper say that. Those type of plays where
those are goals right there.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Defensive goals.
Yeah. So stuff like that, Barlow, man, he played really well. But again, Dynamo win with the minimum 1-0. Ben did touch on the fact that he wasn't. Yeah, what's up?
No, I just wanted to. I wanted to before. I don't know if you were trying to move on or not, but before we moved on, I wanted to bring in my boy Brad Smith.
Oh,
I know that Joey didn't give him a good rating. And I mean, I just want to read it because I think it's honestly perfect what Joey wrote, and it almost kind of what I felt too. Which is hope. this is a line.
Oh, so this isn't a love story. I thought it was
So it says, hopefully this is the last time we will see Brad Smith starting on the wing. Now that some players are available for the selection, he put in a good 60 minutes of cardio, but offered not much of anything else. I mean, we might be a little harsh, but I think it is fair.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy did run his ass off, and he had some good defensive plays. But when it came to the attacking part of stuff,
he looked so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it just didn't. It looked like he was missing another 30 yards in front of him to keep running. I don't know.
And again, even though he's very versatile and he can play that role, even in his prime with Seattle, he always was starting from a left back position, not out wide. So we know that he has the speed. We know that he can cross. He can kind of part it up well. But yeah, sometimes, especially when the Dynamo didn't have the ball, he looked a little lost. Like he didn't know what to do, and he would catch. I mean, if it wasn't for Steres being God, I love Steres, man. He's just probably the most underrated player for the Dynamo and one of my favorite, just because of the way that you plug him anywhere, dude, and he'll give you a hell of a night. At least as of now. Hopefully, I didn't jinx it and he scores like 5 on goals. That's how it goes sometimes. You start talking about a player doing well and it goes down the drain. But not necessarily moving on. Just wanted to mention the fact that we obviously know the opponent that the Dynamo will be playing against. That it would be against. Oh, hey Chris, it's just you by yourself. What's up, buddy? Yay! It's gonna be against Columbus Crew. The game being on Wednesday, and 7 o'clock was the game time. Is that what we said? 7, maybe. It's not official yet.
I think Dustin posted it.
That was the holy title that CONCACAF had for that game.
I'm assuming it's probably going to be the second game out of the 3 of that night, just because obviously Chivas, I believe, plays that same night, and they should be playing in the West Coast. So obviously they have an hour or 2 from Central Time. So for the love of God, don't give us another 9:30 game on a weekday, because the crowd was not there. And I mean, we're used to it.
It's pretty loud though.
It was pretty loud.
You were seeing people yawning on the TV too when they were showing the stands.
Yeah, they were like,
it was late as shit.
It was rough. And then I mean, obviously, the game's over. It ended like what, 11:15, something around there.
11:20.
Yeah, and people get to go home, and we're here to cover the team. So it's like the best part. Christian stayed out in the mix zone, and I went into the press conference, and I had literally just sat down and we see Ben Olsen peek out like a few times. It's like, hey, y'all ready for me? It's like, I'm trying to get you home early. And they're like, no. We're waiting for St. Louis City coach. And the dude took forever. I didn't get home till like 1 a.m. So it was one of those, just kind of like a late shift for sure, man. More than usual at that point, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, they'll be playing on Wednesday. I believe that you guys had mentioned that there's no game for them on the weekend. They'll be off, and then they'll play again either a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And obviously,
And Columbus do have a game that weekend.
Columbus does play somebody, so I guess that's a little bit of advantage for the Dynamo that they don't have to worry about a weekend game. So it should be an interesting one for sure, guys. I'm excited. Who doesn't love national soccer playing against another US team in this glorious international play, man?
Was it like Cesar Proceda?
Yeah.
Like it's like, well, if the lines go up correctly, like the Dynamo face Crew, and then Orlando, and then Miami to face in the final for Philly at an international tournament.
It's pretty funny just the way it's set up. But hey, that's what happened, man. The Leagues Cup is coming around. Hopefully, if it's set up the same way, Liga MX team need to get in, and man, you can't just have Querétaro out there showing everybody off, man. Come on, guys. What are you guys doing? But let's just try to, in a way to close it out, just have one more topic for the Dynamo, and obviously they'll be playing against Joey's favorite team, Metro Stars, on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, Red Bulls New York, man, probably a team that you still kind of follow. Joey, you follow every team, so I can't even say that you follow closely. But let's start with your thoughts on this game, man. How are you seeing this rivalry, this match on Saturday?
It's gonna be a tough one, man. I think the Red Bulls had a very good offseason. I think you see some Red Bulls fans are a little upset because the ownership did promise like a huge offseason. Then again, they went out, they got an Emil Forsberg, huge DP, probably maybe the most talented DP acquisition this summer. The Suarez isn't a DP, right? I don't think he is.
Suarez is the TAM. Suarez is TAM.
So yeah, so Forsberg, he'd be the most talented DP acquisition that I'd say. So I mean, I think
he's a baller. He's definitely a baller.
He's so good.
He's good.
I mean, what year is it? I think it was, I want to say 16-17 or 15-16. The Forsberg just absolutely tore up the Bundesliga. Had like 20 assists, like almost 10 goals. Dude was insanity. And he already his first game for the Red Bulls against Nashville, he was creating chances left or right. And the Manuel and Vanzier couldn't score. But their team's pretty damn good right now. I like their roster. Lots of good homegrown kids. Like I'm a big fan of Frankie Amaya. I'm a big fan of Peter Stroud and Edelman. The Niels brothers. They're just
Hey, you're not mentioning my guy, man. Is my guy still there? John Tolkien? I mean, that dude.
Tolkien, yeah. I believe he's going to be unavailable. He did miss the first game.
Yeah.
He has a little bit of a groin injury. I'm not sure if he's going to be playing this week. But yeah, and when he's out there, they put Kyle Duncan on the left side, and he plays pretty well, left back as well. And they got the two U22 slot players they brought in this offseason, Eli, whoever you say, and I believe the Norwegian guy. I don't know. I don't remember his name either. But they got a strong squad now. Manuel came into his own end of last year. We know how talented Dante Vanzier can be.
I'm going to pronounce Dennis Jingar. Dennis Jingar is a Norwegian guy. I'm just reading the names up in here, man. Yeah.
Yengar, probably? Yengar. I think that might be it is. I don't know.
Gengar. I'm gonna call him.
Isn't
Gengar.
that a
Gengar,
Pokemon?
yeah, it's a Pokemon. Yeah, they evolved. They got their Haunter in a trade. Now he's a Gengar. But
that was super nerdy.
But yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and finish it. Thank you, Rafael Pina. Pina mentions good job, boys. Appreciate all the great content. It looks like it's getting close to the finish line here, but let's go ahead and give the prediction for that game. Chris, what are you thinking, man?
Dan, where do I start?
All right, Joey, what are you thinking?
Am I thinking?
What do you think? Another home game,
I'm
third
gonna
straight. for the
copy and
Dynamo?
paste. I think the prediction I've had for every game this year and go 1-1 draw.
Yeah. Easy peasy, man. What about you, Manny? What are you thinking about that game, dude?
2-1.
2-1 the Dynamo. All right. And
Alright.
Chris, you have 2-2.
2-2.
You know, this is what the hard part about me talking is that I forget half of the time I say sometimes. And when we talked in the last podcast, I mentioned how it was going to be a 1-1 draw. And I changed it to 2-0 when we did our predictions because I'm dumb like that. And I was like, damn, I could have gotten it right. So at this point, I think the Dynamo are going to win. I'm going to go with the 2-1. And you guys need to remind me whenever we do the thing to put the 2-1, right? So that way I can, there you go. So I can get into it. But guys, that's all we have for the Dynamo. But I did want to mention the Dash, obviously, currently are in Florida for, I guess, the remaining leg of their preseason. I think they're going to be playing against Washington Spirit as well as Kansas City Current, and that's just out of memory. So hopefully that's correct. And see, look, there we got the Brazilian and
the non-Brazilian.
Jacobs.
That's not
Is
Jacobs.
that Natalie?
Is it? No, it doesn't look like Jacobs. No way,
Jacobs.
bro.
That is Jacobs.
Yeah, it is. That's
Is it?
that.
That looks
Bro,
like a Maria.
Nah, it's Jacobs.
That's Maria. What?
But yeah, I guess the biggest news this week for them was the pretty tight. I mean, Joey, you have last year's kids, man. I thought it was gonna last like another year, but nope.
Yeah.
They ended
these
up
ones
getting
are
brand
gorgeous.
new kids, dude. And I mean, if I don't know who worked on them, I only know Brian Salazar that is like creating the Dynamo one, so I'm assuming he created this one's too. And I really like that orange one, especially I don't have a picture of the close-up for you guys to see it here on the video. But I like the details on that one for sure. And I would say I like the away kid, the blue one, but it looks very similar to the one for the New York, what's it called? The New York, New Jersey Rain
Gotham.
or Gotham. Yeah,
Gotham.
And so I don't know. They're very, very similar, but I really dig that orange shirt, man. And I don't have anything Dash, so I need to go ahead and buy either that shirt or that training top. Was pretty lit, Manny.
Yeah, I was about to say, hey man, for the price of one Dynamo jersey, you could get 2 Dash jerseys.
True.
That's why I'm getting the Dash. I'm not getting the Dynamo one this
Yeah.
year.
But I think El Jefe, he liked the jog tag on the Dash. I don't know if you had it.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
HOU thing. Yep.
and the little X for the 10th anniversary. I like that.
Yeah. No, it again, it's a really nice kid. I was surprised. I really thought it was just gonna be an away kid. I didn't think much of it, but like you mentioned, Manny's new CBA.
Yeah, and what I like the most, you could tell on the away kit, the tag on the bottom. So Nike, I think if you purchased the Dash jerseys before, they were like in a different material than your other jerseys. Like, if you had like, for instance, Barcelona or PSG,
Was it
feel like
fit or what is it now?
it was just like a different material. It was like more
Yeah,
feel
they
like
feel kind of odd.
Oh,
they
really?
feel like a trainee top instead of like an
Yeah.
actual jersey. And so hopefully I haven't feel it, but by the pictures and even the website on Nike, it looks like it's like a regular jersey that they have. So it could be good. And also on the new CBA, no more shorts, no more light color shorts. Now they're all dark color for the women's, so that or for privacy and for everything. So it's pretty good. I really like the colors. The black and orange fits good with them.
These jerseys fit pretty tight too.
Really?
So
Yeah, they're slimmer. So like
yeah, they're a lot slimmer. I mean, I usually wear medium. I got a large on, and it fits me perfectly.
Show
So I
your
might.
guns, bro.
Show the gun show, man.
Little gun show.
But guys, well, we've hit basically the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We tend to always close it with just hitting a Forever Orange, but before that, Chris, go ahead and tell the people once more where they can find everything that we do, man.
Of course, at Bayou City Soccer, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can check us out there. Shoot everybody a message if you want to at Chris Putaleas for me, Joey Chavala 10 for Joey, Rudy Cigarette 3, Manny Vela 10, Dustin. Just hit them up at Bayou City Soccer on Instagram. On Twitter. or X, however you want to call it.
I'll
But-
answer you on Instagram.
Yeah, Rudy is the instrument guy, and then yeah, you know. But go to the website. Go check out the website. There's everything there that you need to find. BayouCitySoccer.net. You can find everything that we do there, guys. Literally articles almost daily that we have been putting out, and the season has just started, so we're gonna have a lot more stuff. Pretty cool stuff, honestly. Sometimes I read it because I don't know crap, and then I read it, and then these guys kind of teach me stuff. I don't tell them that I don't know, so I just read those articles and then I act like I know. So go check that out. If you don't know anything like me, go check them out. Joey and Dustin and Rudy and everybody else, they're gonna teach you, a bunch of stuff, and we get to learn. Also, we follow Vote League there. Also, we do a bunch of dash stuff right there too with Manny.
Oh, he's
and all
about
the
to
other
beat
guys.
you work, man. Money, you're
Man,
about
boy's
to
gonna get work.
load.
Oh no, I was about to say last weekend, me and Rudy was at the Women's Gold Cup as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
we
It's dope.
cover it. They were playing tonight. Definitely was
Yes.
going to be difficult to make it
And-
back to back
and-
and not
and,
make it
and
to
I
the
just-
doghouse.
Yeah,
Damn.
I just found out like I didn't know, but tonight the CONCACAF is having the draw at Shell Energy Stadium.
Oh, nice. We
for-
missed
for-
some good stuff.
I was like, well, if I knew, I would have been there.
Right.
Yeah.
I
But,
saw Sebas Ferreira was like taking pictures and posing with the
Paraguayan
Paraguay
team.
team.
Yeah, I
That
saw
was
that.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That,
Bro, it's good. It's cool. It's cool that two things, right? The pitch, so many games still looks freaking spotless. Shout out to those people that were, I don't know who they are, but great grass people. Then
I
second
think
thing,
Dan.
shout out Dan.
Yeah.
And then second thing that I literally forgot what it was, but I'm glad that we getting all these like women competitions in our city. I think it's pretty cool that women's soccer is also kind of getting big and bigger and bigger and bigger every time.
For sure.
It's pretty dope.
For sure, man. So again, let's close it out a little different. I think I'll do the same thing, but we should always maybe I'll say for Maggie, and then we'll kind of keep going like that. You see what I'm saying? Like I say, then Chris, then Joey, and then Manny, and we'll close it out like that. But don't forget, guys, to always hold it down and keep it forever orange for Maggie.
For Maggie.
For Maggie.
For Maggie.
Let's go, guys. Let's go. Get to it. Get to it. Peace.
You start